What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bilbrons and Dragons. I'm your host, Bilbron DaoLockStone. So today we're having another battle report for my Molebron DaoLockStone build, which I have been playing in a Westmarch server called the Forged Concordance, and it is so cool. So I highly recommend it. The relevant information will be in the video description below, so check it out. Feel free to join me there and we can adventure together. So today's adventure was called Missing Livestock. It was run by DM Dragon, who I think did a great job, great descriptions, brisk pace of play, and I really enjoyed it. And it was funny because in the job posting they give you a little blurb about what it's going to be like, and this one had the tag potentially deadly combat. And so of course, ever since the casino ship adventure where I lost half the team, I've been really concerned about team composition. And I was like, oh my god, potentially deadly combat? Okay, I put my name on there and I was like, I play this way, and I'm never a target, and I have Inspiring Leader, and I operate through my familiar, and so I'm going to need a guy like X, and then a guy like Y, and then a guy like Z, and then, okay, fine, anybody in the last spot. But I definitely need X, Y, and Z. And so people were coming on, and I was like plugging them in, and then another guy I decided to put on the wait list, even though my team wasn't fully constructed because I didn't like the construction of it. And then I couldn't find a guy for that, and I had to put the guy on the wait list into the team, and then I was so worried that, people were going to die. And it turns out that we turned in a flawless victory. Not a single PC on the team took a single point of damage. So pretty proud of that. Nice feather in our cap to go through this potentially deadly combat without taking a point of damage. And it just goes to show the value of planning and preparation and taking this stuff seriously. So I got to the job board first, and it was for a gig for the Broken Arrow Ranch, who seemed to be having a problem with a monster killing their livestock. So, okay, sounds like a fun gig. It's in the mountains, and I'm an Earth Genasi Daolock, so I'm like, all right, I like this, and plus it's more like farm work, and yeah, for a city kid, I do all right on the farm. So I started putting a team together. I quickly saw Idik, who I adventured with in the last couple of sessions, so I was like, oh, dude, join the team. He's like, oh, I don't know, I'm a steel badge now. I don't know if I've got time to be, dealing with you rookies. I'm like, dude, you're on the team. And then he saw a friend of his named Sire, so we added Sire to the team, who was a very robotic Warforged life cleric. It was pretty cool. And then we rounded out the team with two more fellas. We added George, who was a human artificer war wizard, and we added Quill, who was a half drow oh my god, I'm blanking on what he was. A half-drow Hexblade Bard. Hexblade Bard. And and he had an Australian accent. And he was cool, and he was an amazing tracker. So yeah, that was the team, and we headed out, and it was actually a pretty lengthy journey. Had to go down to Tierspal, catch a ship, then we crossed the Tiers of Sylvanas to go to Silvery Run, and then we had to go overland to the Shattertooth Mountain, and that's where we found the Broken Arrow Ranch. So we finally got there, and we met up with our client, whose name was Sarah, who was an Aarakocra, and said, yeah, some monster has been killing all of our livestock. It's gotten pretty crazy, and it's really got to stop. And I'm not going up there. Are you kidding me? This thing apparently was witnessed and seemed to be like this giant cat thing with extra limbs. So I know that doesn't sound right, but that's what the witness said. So we were like, it's probably just some crazy mutated monster. And we're on the case, no worries. And so we set out to track the beast, and Quill was crushing his survival check, so that was good, because nobody else in the party could track. And we headed into the mountains after this stupid monster. And I had my riding horse with me, which I was very excited. But then I got less excited because we first came across a ravine, and there was a little narrow rickety bridge going over the top. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely not getting my horse over that, so I guess I'll tie it up to a tree and get it later. And we made it across, most of us, except for Sire, because he's a Warforged. He weighs 400 pounds or something crazy, and so he did everything right, but the bridge just couldn't take his weight, and he fell down, and we had to pull him up, and it was annoying. And but we got past it and continued into the mountains, and then came across a nest of harpies. So 5 harpies who thought they were all that, but Idic showed up and threw down a sleet storm, because Idic just made level 5, and now he has Sleet Storm. And Sleet Storm was basically the MVP of this adventure, because the harpies basically couldn't do anything. He got like 4 of them in it, and there was one straggler whom Fargar just annihilated instantly. And then the rest of them were like completely covered in this Sleet Storm. They had trouble getting out, and in the meantime we're destroying them with ranged attacks, and we ended up killing them without taking any damage. And got a couple of harpy eggs for a breakfast quiche in the morning. Then we moved on and encountered this misty, spooky forest. It's like a very, sus area. And up front there was like this rotted wooden sign that was all beat up and scratched and very difficult to read. But we were barely able to make out that it said, 1, listen to the knocking, and 2, beware of spiders. Okay. So we went into the forest, and we heard some magic, mystical knocking that just kind of reverberated throughout the air. And it would be like 1 knock, 2 knocks, 3 knocks. And we figured out that we had to go in a particular direction based on the knocks. And if we didn't go in the right direction, then the mists and the woods would teleport us and make us go in circles, and we couldn't make any progress. So we started making our way through this forest using the knocks as our guide. And then we encountered a spider's nest. Bunch of webs, and in the middle of it a giant phase spider with a couple of smaller little spiders next to it. And guess what? Idic threw down a sleet storm, and then Fargar and Spot and the rest of the team just threw down a hellacious amount of damage. And phase spiders were taken down without a point of damage taken by any of our team. And we progressed past that and finally followed the tracks to what we thought was the creature's lair. And it was in like this little rocky area, and there were a couple of snakes there. I forgot to get a picture of that, but there were like a couple of snakes. I'll put like X's on the pictures to show you where they were. And can you think of what our strategy was? Yeah, Idic threw up a Sleet Storm. Sleet Storm is one of the best 3rd level spells in the game. It was just totally rocking this adventure. And the snakes really couldn't do anything, and they couldn't take much damage, so they died really quick. And then we, while the Sleet Storm was still going, used a minor illusion to create the sound of a wounded sheep right outside the cave, and that drew out the big bad monstrosity, which was a Camadon. And that doesn't mean anything to me. All I know is this is a big giant freaking cat-looking thing with all these snakes coming off of its back, and that was pretty crazy. And it jumped right out of the cave, growling, trying to get this, wounded sheep right into Idic's Sleet Storm. And guess what we did from there? Well, if you guessed that we shredded it to death with ranged attacks, you guessed correctly. And so mission accomplished. We skinned that thing, took it back to Sarah with the harpy eggs as a gift, and turned in our flawless victory. So that was the adventure. It had some good role play in it. I was very pleased with the outcome, because it's pretty rare for you to execute a flawless victory in Dungeons & Dragons, particularly when it's got the potentially deadly combat tag. So well done, team. Well done, DM Dragon. Thanks to everybody involved, and thank you so much for watching. This has been Bill Bronze & Dragons. I'm your host, Bill Bron DaoLockStone. See you next time.